Ukraine again made a real success by attacking the Russian tank battle closely with the perfect target where these two Russian tanks started operating in Zaporizhia in the tank battle. They didn't know that Ukrainian fighters were following them. Then a fierce battle began between Russian tanks and Ukrainian combat troops. Elsewhere, Ukrainian cyborg units have again turned Russian tanks into scrap in the fighting in Donetsk. The cyborg unit is the nickname for Ukraine's 79th Air Assault Brigade, which is known to be very persistent in fighting pro-Moscow separatists. In video footage taken from a drone, the cyborg unit captured the movement of a T-72B3 tank down a village road. The tank appeared to have just come out of hiding in the forest. The cyborg unit drone then followed the Kremlin's flagship war vehicle. Dramatic footage later showed Ukraine's 79th Air Assault Brigade spotting enemy vehicles on a dirt track in Ukraine's easternmost oblast. The tanks then sped up as the brigade followed, trying to lock onto a target to launch an attack. As the tank drove onto a more open road, it was partially hit by a missile and smoke began to billow from its left corner. A direct hit then landed on the top of the tank with its turret, causing the vehicle to explode in flames. Two of Vladimir Putin's soldiers are seen running away from the tank as it is still moving. The vehicle, which was then engulfed in huge flames like in the movies. After the battle, the Azov artillery also stopped the enemy's T-90 tanks, and the Azov and Burovy air reconnaissance units, using FPV drones, finished the job. A video has emerged online showing the joint operation of the 12th Special Purpose Brigade of the Ukrainian Azov National Guard and the 1st Presidential Operational Assignment Brigade named after Hetman Petro Doroshenko, Burovy, in destroying a Russian T-90 tank. After destroying the tank, the Ukrainian armed forces also succeeded in targeting and destroying 5 Russian Buk surface-to-air systems. The Buk system was detected and destroyed by one of Ukraine's Shark unmanned aerial vehicles in the Zaporizhia region. The crew of only one Shark system discovered and helped destroy or disable 5 combat vehicles from the Buk system arsenal, both self-propelled firing units and charging machines. The invaders tried to hide their equipment in the depot, but it didn't help. The Hammer shells found their targets. In another battle, Ukrainian fighters also following T-80B-VM appear to have been successfully targeted and then destroyed in the woods near the front line. The loss of one T-80B-VM should be seen as a major blow to the Kremlin. Not only that, a Russian T-80B-VM tank was destroyed by artillery of the Ukrainian 58th Motorized Brigade in the Shytpalivka area, Luhansk Oblast. The village of Shytpalivka was the site of heavy fighting earlier this year and is one of the locations where the Ukrainian armed forces successfully repelled multiple waves of Russian attacks. Fighting in the region has now largely turned into a titanic artillery battle, including constant barrages and artillery duels that resemble the fighting on the Western Front during the First World War. After launching its attack, footage shows a Russian T-80BV main battle tank MBT being destroyed by units of the Ukrainian 72nd Brigade using drone-dropped munitions in Donetsk Oblast. Apart from that, the Russian army lost 321 troops in the southern sector of Tavria in the last 24 hours. General Oleksandr Tarnavsky, commander of the Tavria Operational and Strategic Forces Grouping, said this in a post on Telegram. The work of defense forces in the Tavria sector continues. In general, in the last 24 hours, the enemy attacked our position 17 times and carried out 744 shelling attacks, 4 missile attacks and 18 air attacks, Tarnavsky said. According to him, Ukrainian artillery units carried out 468 firing missions in the Tavria sector in the last 24 hours. Over the last day, the enemy lost 321 soldiers, 81 killed, 233 wounded, 7 taken prisoner. Ukrainian forces destroyed 40 enemy military equipment, including a tank, an IF-9 artillery and mortar systems, an air defense system, a Zoopark radar, an ATM system, 17 UAVs, 6 vehicles, and 3 special equipment. 8 ammunition depots and 2 enemy command posts were also destroyed. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Defense Forces continued to conduct offensive operations on the Melitopol front and offensive on the Bakhmut front. They made gains in the southern regions of Robotyne and Klishchiivka, consolidated their positions, crushed the enemy, and liberated the occupied territory step by step. Rocket troops units hit 5 artillery and anti-aircraft missile systems of the enemy. The Russian army launched 2 missile attacks, 29 airstrikes, and 14 MLRS attacks on Ukrainian troop positions. Russia's defense ministry said on Sunday that its forces hit Ukrainian command centers, troops, and ammunition depots in Donbass and the Mykolaiv region in the south with air and artillery strikes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said at a press conference with Polish President Andrzej Duda that 50 to 100 Ukrainians died every day in the area. Russia launched a major offensive in Luhansk, one of 2 provinces in Donbass, after ending weeks of resistance by the last Ukrainian fighters in the strategic southeastern port of Mariupol. On the Syvershina and Slobozhenshina fronts, the Russian army launched airstrikes in the areas in and around the settlements of Ambarn and Budarki in Kharkiv Oblast. More than 20 settlements came under artillery and mortar fire, especially Karpovichy and Leonivka in Chernihiv Oblast, Novomykolaivka, Myropilsk, and Churia in Sumy Oblast, and Hurov Kazakok, Budarki, and Staritsya in Kharkiv Oblast. Meanwhile, on the Bakhmut front, Ukrainian forces effectively held back Russian troops in and around the settlements of Orikovo-Vasilivka, Bodanivka, and Klishchiivka. Klishchiivka and Andriivka in Donetsk Oblast were targeted by Russian airstrikes. Russian artillery and mortars targeted more than 20 settlements, namely Chasiv Yar, Klishchiivka, Bilohora, Kurdyamivka, and New York in Donetsk Oblast.